Hey guys, what's up? Psyche here today with another video. In this one, I'm just going to be inoculating some pink oyster blocks, and we're going to be starting by breaking down the mycelium, which is my spawn. And I've got some grains that have been pressure cooked overnight in some mason jars, so those are going to be all cooled down and ready to inoculate. I've got a knife here just in case I need to break down some of the pink oyster spawn because I've kind of let it go for a little while, as you can tell right here. And sometimes just knocking it on the side is not enough, and I might need to go in there with the knife to break everything up. Now I'm just going to put some gloves on and roll the time lapse because it might be a little long to see me break all these guys one by one. I'll catch you in a second. Okay, welcome to the time lapse. So originally I had some audio with the video, but with the flow hood it really makes everything kind of distorted and not sound really great. It's kind of irritating for the ears, so I went ahead and decided to do some voiceovers. So pardon me if not, if everything doesn't line up kind of completely. So I'm just gonna watch what I'm doing and kind of narrate. So I started off by just opening the jars, giving it a nice kind of like smell, making sure there's no like funky smell in there. That's your number one kind of indicator is smell, because sometimes you can't really see some of the bacteria or maybe some of the potential contamination. So smell always gives a really good indicator. Now moving on, what I did is I actually removed the top part of some of the jars because they were starting to pin, and then that's going to create some like fungal actual bodies, which could create some issues down the line. By introducing it to my substrate, it could create some bacteria if that like molds while the substrate is colonizing, because they do take about 7 to 14 days. Uh, Pink oysters in general, that's how long they take depending on like temperature and whatnot. So in that 7 to 14 days, you really have time for like some bacteria to really like develop and potentially like compete with the mycelium, and you really don't want that. So I got my pressure cooker out, cleaned my working area, and made sure to spray like rubbing alcohol all around. Make sure everything is, you know, as I guess clean as it can be. I've got my flow hood running, and then yeah, rubbing alcohol. So I unload these and they're going to be ready to inoculate. I don't have a huge amount of space to work with on my counter, and regardless, I kind of want to work as close to my flow hood as possible. So I do 2 bags at a time, so I can have one resting to the side and I can work on one and then swap. So that way it makes kind of the inoculation go a little bit faster. Yeah, and here you go. I'm kind of showing in the video. I'm like, oh, my bench is a little small, and I can do 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my impulse sealer real quick. I forgot to grab that, and I like to leave it open just so there's not like that metal bar interfering while I'm inoculating. And once again, we spray down with rubbing alcohol as a final measure. I'm gonna probably wipe down that impulse sealer as well, just like that metal line. Yep. And adjusting the temperature too as well. Sometimes the bags that I get like to have they prefer a different temperature. These guys they like it a little cooler. They'll melt if I go too hot. So lower that, and then I grab the cultures that I previously shook around, so they're all set and ready to go. And of course, my phone actually died while I was recording the best part of me actually opening the bag and doing the inoculation. So I went ahead and charged it, and yeah, here's number 2. Let's see if it goes a little better if my phone records it this time. So yeah, grab alcohol, spray down everything, grab the culture. Also, yeah, one thing I do is make sure to spray down the side of the jar, just because there is potential that's going to be the closest thing to the bag when I inoculate. Sometimes I not the greatest, and I'll even possibly like peek the top of the jar inside the bag, which is not good. And another thing here I want to mention is something I would like to actually improve on is right there when I open my bags. As you can see, I put my thumb inside of it. I would rather not do that, so I'm kind of getting better at just sliding them from the side. It's not a huge deal because I'm, clean and I'm rubbing down everything, rubbing alcohol, and the last thing that touched my hand is that rubbing alcohol. But still, if I could avoid putting anything inside the bag, definitely the best. Also, when pouring, I kind of want to try to pour with the jar closest to my chest as possible, like closest to me as possible. Just so when the grains fall, they're not also like bringing down any debris or anything like that. So always kind of inoculate as closest to you or like behind things, because you never want to like obstruct the airflow from the flow hood. So once I dump that bag in there, I just go ahead and seal everything. I usually open the bag to let it gather a little bit of air, because that will make shaking everything later on much easier. As for the seal, I've had some issues before where like it doesn't seal completely. I'll get a little line that won't properly seal shut. So what I've done to get around that is I do three seals. So I do one kind of like at the bottom. I'll do one at the very top on the same side, and then I'll flip my bag around and I'll do the third one like in between those two. Just because I feel like my pressure cooker, not my pressure cooker, my impulse sealer seals a little bit better, like the closer I am to the edge. And so getting that bag turned around gives it a better seal sometimes. So now it should be all set. And I'm just going to check those corners, make sure we are all good and there's nothing escaping, because it's going to be very important later. I'm going to rough up that bag and I really don't want anything escaping, and I also don't want any air coming in besides through that filter, which is why that filter patch is there in the first place. So I'll go ahead and I think inoculate all the rest and then shake everything through. Catch you guys in a sec. Thank you guys for watching. If you're this far into the video, I just want to say thank you and that I appreciate the support and just you guys watching. This is also for me, so I can look back and kind of track my progress as well. I was also trying to set up a little bit of a live stream soon, but I think I need to get my YouTube and video schedule a little bit more consistent before I start doing that. But definitely let me know in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. I might be interested as well in starting like a Discord where I can just interact with a lot of you guys. But first of all, gotta build that community. So if you're interested, definitely smash the like button, smash the subscribe, and would love to see you guys being more engaged. Anyways, so now my block have all been inoculated and they are ready to be shaken. So what I'd like to do is I'll usually give it like a thump on the side to kind of free up my substrate. Usually the substrate is a little bit like packed together, so you do need to kind of like play around with it and dislodge like some of the more like blocked up pieces that are together. So here you can see I'm just tapping the sides, and what I kind of like to do is have the filter pointing up always, and if I do use the table, I like to not have the filter be on the table, so always kind of like the back side of the bag, I smack it on the table, and that way it just limits the chances of getting any like bacteria in the bag, even though the area should be fairly clean. You just never want to assume it's perfect, right? So I'm gonna break down also some of that mycelium that was in my spawn. Some of the like grains that I'm using are still like bunched up together, and they're making these like chunks of mycelium. So I'm trying to break that down as much as I can as well. I smack it like I said right there, like I showed there. I give it a little smack sometimes. get everything to go down. But yeah, this isn't like rocket science, it's mushroom science. You just kind of shake your bag around and try to get everything dispersed nice and through. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other bags, give you guys another time lapse because I don't know, I just love time lapse. And I will catch you guys in a second again. Oh, and before I send you into the time lapse, this is also the part where I like to label everything. If I was working with different cultures, I would actually label them right after sealing them, but since this is all pink oysters, I like to just label them all at the same time, right before shaking the bag. Alright, so just sending you off with the time lapse. Thank you for watching again. If you have any question, concern, comments, let me know in the section below. Feel free to like and subscribe. And next video should either be the harvest of these pink oysters, or I've been working on the grow room setup number 3, as well as another lion's mane harvest video. A couple things going on, so not too sure yet, but definitely stay tuned. Psych-E out.